Welcome to the October 2025 committee meeting of Dubbo Regional Council. I advise that Council is now web streaming its standing committees and council meetings live to the internet, and as such, all those present should refrain from making any defamatory statements. Your attendance at this meeting is your acceptance of the condition that your image may be recorded and streamed to the internet, as well as being retained in the archive of the recorded council meetings and standing committee meetings. I now open the October 2025 Infrastructure Planning and Environment Committee meeting, the time being 5:31. And the acknowledgement to country, please. Councillor Wright. Yep.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I'd like to acknowledge the Wiradjuri people who are the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today, and I'd like to pay respect to elders past, present, of the Wiradjuri Nation, and extend that respect to other Aboriginal peoples from other nations who are present here today or online and joining us at home. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. If we can move on then to IPC 25/66, leave of absence. So I have a request for leave of absence from Councillors M. Dickerson, R. Ivy and P. Wells. Can I have a councillor to move that, please? Chowdhury, Councillor Chowdhury. And seconded by Councillor Ryan. Thank you. Now I'll put the motion. Electronic voting will be open shortly. There it is. And if you cast your votes, it'd be great. Okay, I think that's everyone. I'll now close the voting. Anyway, I'll fix it. Thank you. So I declare it carried unanimously. Oh, yes. Councillor Jay Cowley will be attending the meeting via audio-visual link. IPEC 25/67, conflicts of interest. Does anyone have any conflicts of interest to declare? And online, perhaps? No? Okay. So there being none, we'll move on. IPEC 25/68, report of the Renewable Energy Zone Benefit Committee, meeting 21 August 2025. Do I have a motion? Councillor Chowdhury, and seconded by Councillor Richardson. Councillor Chowdhury, would you like to speak to your motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have just a quick question on regarding to Reg 25/34. If a director can give some update about that accommodation for renewable project for worker within the local government area, because I have received few concerns. There was a few people reached out to me about in Keswick, the accommodation in Keswick. So if director can give some update, please.
To the CEO?
That might be a more appropriate question for the next one, which is renewable energy projects update. This one is more strictly about the benefits committee and an outcome of that meeting. So I would suggest hold that over.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Any further debate, councillors? No, there being none, I'll put the motion to the vote. Please cast your votes. Thank you. I'll close the voting. And it carried unanimously. IPEC 25/69, the development activity summary. Do I have a motion? Councillor Chowdhury again. And a seconder, please. Councillor Wright. Councillor Chowdhury, would you like to speak to your motion?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
And any further debates, councillors? Councillor Wright?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. It was just a question with regards to the reference on page 15, of a couple of DAs under consideration. There's a couple of them that have been simmering away for a few months. The Narromine Road one, I think the Sheraton Road one as well. Just wondering a bit of an idea of progress or timeframes even around those ones there. Like I said, it's been a few months, they just continue to appear in those reports.
To the CEO?
Mr. Jennings.
Through you, Mr. Chair, just in respect of the table, the 571 lot residential subdivision DA at Narromine Road, Dubbo, the proponent is working away on an amended subdivision layout and development application as we speak. This site basically will have, at this stage, a limitation on the number of lots that can be developed, owing to the fact that our detailed citywide transportation strategies currently under preparation as well. That's a process there that we've been ongoing with Transport for New South Wales and some consultants at that stage as well. But I'm expecting to see some amended information in the next month or so on that application. So I'd love to see it moving forward as well. Just in respect of the Service Department's development application, that one is also currently on further information as well, the 20L Sheraton Road Dubbo application, and it's on further information for a number of items as well. I think bushfire was one of those key items with that application, from my memory, Councillor Wright.
Any further debate, councillors? Yep. Councillor Wright?
Only a comment with respect to the service departments one. I think it mentions 28 service departments with a DA value of $729,000. It seems a pretty cheap development.
To the Steve or to the CEO?
Like Q&A, I'll take that as a statement, a comment, not a question.
Any further debate, councillors? There being none, I'll just open the electronic voting. Please cast your votes. And now it's close the voting. And consider it carried unanimously. Next item is IPC 25/70, Renewable Energy Projects Update, October 2025. Do I have a motion? Councillor Wright. And seconded, Councillor Black. Councillor Wright, would you like to speak to your motion?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Only to say that, look, it's a fantastic report. Like, just to be able to provide that level of snapshot just within that one document, constantly fielding questions from members of the public with respect to different projects that are currently sort of simmering away in the LGA, and obviously it's a substantial number of projects. And when you look at it like that, it is a little overwhelming. But nevertheless, to have that information to hand is very, very helpful. So yeah, thanks for presenting it in such a format. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. Councillor Cowley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just with regard to the newly announced Wambangalang Wind Project, what do we know, if anything, about that? And has Council had any contact from or with the proponents?
To the CEO.
Yeah, Mr. Jennings.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So at this stage, we haven't had any contact with the proponent, Mint Renewables, of a new wind farm, and we said solar farm. So wind farm that we believe is proposed in the Wambangalang area, 500 megawatts at this stage. On their website, and this is Mint Renewables, they have some information that they're currently in the early feasibility stage with the project, also looking at transmission line routes as well. It's also got some information, if the project progresses to the next development phase, we will engage with local councils, landowners, neighbours and surrounding communities as early as possible, keeping people informed and involving people in decisions that are able to that they are able to influence. So yeah, no contact at this stage, but yeah, when proponents do start looking at these sites, sometimes council may not get contacted until they're ready to basically come and start discussing a project if they have some of those answers to the questions that we'll be asking in our normal processes.
Thank you. Would we ever get on the front foot and reach out to those proponents ahead of time?
To the CEO.
I'll take that one. Often what we'll do is we'll say, we've seen something in public, you need to get and talk to us. This one seems to be very early in its planning phases. Like it seems like they may have neighbour land agreements established, but certainly Mr. Jennings is not shy in reaching out to proponents via their websites and contacts to say, hey, we should be getting a briefing by this stage. So we do. That doesn't necessarily mean we get an answer.
Thank you.
Councillor Chowdhury.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I again the same question through you. If kindly director can give an update for that accommodation project in Keswick, and is there any public consultation has been done, and if it's done, how that done? Thank you.
To the CEO.
Mr. Jennings.
Through you, Mr. Chair, thanks for the question, Councillor Chowdhury. The Western Regional Planning Panel 2 weeks ago, I'd have to get the approximate date, did approve a development application for the temporary workers accommodation project on land at Keswick. So basically bound by Boundary Road and Sheraton Road in that southwestern corner. Excuse me. It's a accommodation project which will house up to 400 construction workers. It's attached to Squadron Energy's Spices Creek wind farm project. That project hasn't reached financial close yet, and we're expecting that to reach financial close next year, in the early part of next year. That's when they'll make that investment decision as to if they proceed with that project as well. Just on other accommodation projects as well, we have had a development application lodged for a smaller version of something very similar in Wellington as well, on a site in Gisborne Street. So.
Just to follow up from that, so housing strategies for all these large projects, and including the bridge projects underway, certainly there is a lot of analysis that shows the impact if we don't provide accommodation solutions proactively. The risk is that people at the rental market at the bottom ends get pushed out of a rental market, or they will take up all the tourism accommodation. So there's lots of analysis there. So that's why these types of projects are important, so that we actually have other accommodation options to reduce pressure on the rental market, reduce pressure on the motel market. And our strategy is for workers to be accommodated in our urban release areas in Dubbo, urban infill in Wellington, which is the project. There's a private proponent looking to do that in Wellington, because people will be here for many years. There's two reasons. We get more economic activity as a community. They'll go to the local shops, gyms, pubs, etc., rather than an isolated camp, which is all drive in, drive out, and a lot of it done by contractors from outside our region. But then also for those people who may be here, so Squadron's got quite the portfolio. They've got 2 wind farms, one that's starting construction, Ungala. They've got Spices Creek, as Mr. Jennings says, got to get to financial close. They've got the gas-fired turbine in the industrial area of Dubbo. So there's around, could be 10 years worth of work. Ideally, we get people to experience what it's like to live in our communities, and therefore they become permanent residents with their families as well, because they're actually going to have a career here as well. So there's a few strategic lenses in why we've got that strategic approach to having people accommodated in our urban release or urban infill in the case of Wellington. And I will say, talking to the villages, they're conscious of how they can have these accommodation options in villages to then, when the workers move out, they've actually got new residential land available as well.
Councillor Black.
Thank you. I'd just like to note the attendance of a large number of the impacted residents from the proposed Hampton Park solar farm, with their Stop Hampton Park solar farm shirts on tonight. We just seem to be getting swamped with these projects, and noting that council has very little say in what gets bowled up, but that the state government probably needs to look at spreading them out a little bit more than what's currently being done, and listen to impacted residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Black. Any other debate? Yes, Councillor Toynton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just looking at page 23, the amount of solar projects. I'm looking at Boree Solar is proposed by Ven Energy, and the planning agreement's $212,500 per annum, $850 per megawatt per annum, which is the same as what the proposed Hampton Park negotiation is. But then we look at Burraway, which is $280 a megawatt, and DAPA seems to be the cheapest with $127,500 a year and $425 per megawatt. Is there a reason why there's no standard for a per megawatt charge as part of their VPA? There's another one here where it just says Maryvale Solar Farm and the negotiation funding for affordable housing initiatives, community strategic projects and local roads, 1.5% of CIV. Is there any actual standard? Like I'm looking at that with the one that at Wellington Solar Farm that we sort of got nothing for. There was another one, Forest Glen, $1 million for affordable housing initiatives, and that was pretty much all they did. So I'm just wondering, is some of them getting encouraged to be here by such cheap offers where other councils may say, no, you're going to pay this per megawatt? Are we just becoming a dumping ground because we're a soft target for these people? Like I noticed what Councillor Black was saying, that these projects, there's not going to be an acre of farmland if all these go ahead.
To the CEO.
So the difference in those, the first ones you mentioned, is that they're, and it's probably, we could probably word that better, I'd suggest in the table, is that they're only partially in our LGA. So the 850 is the government recommended amount per megawatt, and that's for the, so for example, the $850 per megawatt per annum, because Ven Energy's project is wholly within LGA, that's the standard amount. DAPA crosses over in LGA, so that's our proportion of the full megawatt amount, if that makes sense. Similarly, with the DAPA solar farm, Burraway is in largely the Narromine or completely, but I'll throw to Mr. Jennings, who's got some of the more detail on those. I'll just remind that we had a policy before government brought in a policy to go to the 1.5% capital investment value, and that shifted the dials considerably. Previous, which was the Wellington North project, solar was very reluctant to participate in voluntary planning agreements, so no council was being successful. So a 1.5% was a shift in council policy in the vacuum that was a state government setting. The $850 per megawatt for a solar farm that's in our patch completely, that is the new policy setting of state government. So, Mr. Jennings.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Thanks, Mr. CEO. In respect of the Burraway Solar Farm, it's a project that's wholly in the Narromine local government area. What we've got there in the table is a similar 1/3 percentage split as to what council resolved in respect of the Kerrs Creek wind farm. That's still in discussions, obviously, as well with that project. But our setting basically for projects that do cross the in the different local government areas, it's for that percentage of megawatts that are actually in our local government area, if that makes sense there as well. But for where there's a project close to or adjoining our local government area, we've been looking to apply the Kerrs Creek 1/3, 2/3 split rule basically in our discussions there as well. And what Mr. CEO talked of as well, that yes, the up until December last year, there wasn't that foundational policy setting from the state government. Prior to that, we did have the 1.5% of capital investment value, but just with two other projects there, the Maryvale Solar Farm, the State Government Department of Planning, Housing and Infrastructure actually approved that project a few years ago now without a voluntary planning agreement in place. What we've done there was a modification to that approval probably 2 years ago now, which we've managed to negotiate something out of the proponent as well. We haven't fully brought that negotiation back to you as the elected body to consider at this stage, but it's going in a lot better direction than what it would have been under the original nothing. Obviously from that point of view as well. Also around Wellington North, it's another approval which didn't have a voluntary planning agreement in place. Again, with that project, there was no policy setting from the state government and no requirement there for the proponent to have a voluntary planning agreement with us, and also the same with Suntop. As well. So, yeah, there is a number of iterations of VPA policy settings in that table based on the age of projects as well. But, the adopted policy setting now and from the state government's the 850 a megawatt for solar and 1,050 a megawatt for wind projects.
Any further debate, councillors? If there's no one else, I might just chime in with a question myself. Perhaps to the CEO or Mr. Jennings. Just wanted to question the part on the Wellington North Solar Farm and the Wellington Solar Farm where it talks about the negotiation impacted by sale of solar farm to Beijing Energy. Is there any concerns of selling a power generating asset to a foreign possibly not so friendly power to you, CEO?
Not making a comment on geopolitical considerations, but certainly we raised with the Foreign Investment Review Board the fact that we have been unable to get a VPA out of they're still the current owner, as we believe, Lightsource BP, and so there should be a condition in that body's consideration of a foreign purchase that they need to resolve that first, and whether that's a commitment by Lightsource BP to fund a VPA prior or for a new owner to fund that. As far as I'm aware, I haven't seen any decision come out of the Foreign Investment Review Board to date, and so it's been a substantial amount of time, but I have no further insights into when that's likely to be approved or if it has been approved. It's very low profile. It has had a high profile in terms of a decision and the length of time taken to consider it. I would have thought we'd know by now if it had been approved, and I'm not aware of any news in that regard.
Thank you. Just one further question then. Referring to the wind projects, we have Burrendong Wind Farm, and I was just wondering if perhaps to the CEO or to Mr. Jennings, if they're aware of any, how would we call it, possibilities of contamination of a very significant water source in regards to the biphenyl A coming off the resin on the blades to you?
No, that will be a consideration for government agencies like the EPA and the current iteration of a department, DQ, that covers off the environment. I know there's a small scale study from the University of Strathclyde. Some people have extrapolated that study, but there's other studies as well. So certainly the level of science that would need to be brought to consider that would be the responsibility of the agencies. And remember that these projects are of a scale that they are state significant development, so they are approved by the state. So that certainly is an obligation for agencies in that regard.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor Toynton, further debate. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So just following on from your first question, how do we as a council then protect ourselves if a similar situation arises where one particular company will say, oh yeah, we'll give you all this VPA money, the construction starts, the thing's 5 minutes away from being operational, and they say, oh, we've sold it to another crowd who says, well, we don't have to enter that agreement. That was with the previous company who purchased it. So how do we, I guess, that we don't get gazumped with it, like whether someone says, oh, they can rug pull us on this.
All right, yeah, to the CEO.
Yeah, a little bit different to the example of Wellington North where there was no VPA in place and we're trying to reverse engineer one. So I'll throw to Mr. Jennings for detail on how that fits in the approval system.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So, Mr. CEO is very correct that, with Wellington North, there was no condition there in the approval from the state government to enter into a voluntary planning agreement with council. With the increased focus from the state government on making sure that VPAs are entered into. They are ordinarily conditioned as part of an approval. If a project is sold to a different entity, they still have to undertake the project in accordance with the approval that the state government's granted. So, yeah, there's very little chance that that would fall through the cracks, so to speak.
Mr. Jennings, any further debate, councillors? No, they're being and online. None. No. Okay. That being the case, we'll open the electronic voting. If you wanted to start casting, there it is. Yep, casting your votes. Okay, I would close the voting, and it's carried unanimously. Next item on the agenda, IPEC 25/71, the D25-269 motel property, Lot 1, DP 103869, not 59 Cobra Street, Dubbo. The applicant, Mrs. S. Salmon, owner, Mrs. S. Salmon. Do I have a motion, councillors? Yes, Councillor Chowdhury, yes, and seconded by Councillor Toynton. And Councillor Chowdhury, would you like to speak to that motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's a good-looking model. Hopefully, it will go ahead because I remember the same lot has previously been different DAs gone through, but like a medical center and few other things, but haven't been progressed. So hopefully, this one will go ahead. Through you, Mr. Chair, I have a question to the relevant director. There was a bit concern about the shadow. How that been dealt? Thank you.
To the CEO.
Yep, Mr. Jennings.
Through you, Mr. Chair, in respect of overshadowing our development control plan, which basically provides more detail on how development is considered, also things like setbacks, car parking numbers, overshadowing open space, things like that. It requires 75% of the open space area of an adjoining dwelling to receive 4 hours direct sunlight during the winter solstice. So as part of the application, we did go back to seek some further information, which did come in the form of some detailed shadowing diagrams, which are included in the report as well. Based on the information that we've got and the pre-existing shadows to that southern property, we are of the view that the developments won't have a significant impact on overshadowing of that southern property, and it basically fits for consideration on that land in its current form. The proponent, when they did first come to us, it was a story higher than what they have here now, so we did raise issues with them at that very early stage around how does this design fit, and then also what are the offside impacts. They've also brought the building as nearly as far forward as they probably can to try and reduce that potential shadowing impact as well to that rear property, and also to the motel to the west of the site as well.
Any further debate, councillors? There being none, I'll open the electronic voting. You would cast your votes, councillors. Close the voting. Carried unanimously. The next item on the agenda, IPEC 25/72, proposed closure of part of an unformed road located outside 1 Leigh Street, Montefiores, which is Wellington, for those who don't. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Wright, and seconded by Councillor Chowdhury. Councillor Wright, would you like to speak to your motion, please?
No, thanks, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Any further debate, councillors? There being none, I'll open the electronic voting. Please cast your votes. And I'll close the voting and declare it carried unanimously. The next items for consideration in the Infrastructure Planning and Environment Committee are deemed by the Chief Executive Officer to be confidential. Can I now have someone move to defer items? Thank you, Councillor Richardson, and seconded by Councillor Chowdhury.
Just read out
The items that are deferred are IPC 2573 airlock remediation solution at the John Gilbert Water Treatment Plant, variation to contract CD 22/5066, design and construction of fluoride plant, and IPC 2574/74 essential energy easement request for a stay wire over part of lot 1728 DP 1222337 Argyle Avenue, Dubbo, to be dealt with at the end of the Corporate Services Committee in the confidential session. And it was moved by Councillor Richardson, that's right, and seconded by Councillor Chowdhury. Councillor Richardson, would you like to speak to your motion?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any further debate, councillors? Now, I'll put the motion to electronic voting. Please cast your votes. And I'll close the voting and carried unanimously. As there are no further items, I declare the Infrastructure Planning and Environment Committee closed, the time being 6:02. Thank you. I'll take this with me.
I now open the October 2025 Culture and Community Committee meeting, the time being 6:03 p.m. First item is CCC 25/48, leave of absence. I have a request for a leave of absence from Councillors Dickerson, Ivey and Wells. Can I have someone move that, please? Councillor Wright and Councillor Chowdhury seconded. I'll now put that motion. I'll now close the voting. Carried unanimously. Noting that Councillor Cowley will still be attending via audio-visual link. CCC 25/49, conflicts of interest. Do any councillors have any conflicts to declare for this committee? No. Next item is CCC 25/50, presentation by the Youth Council. I'll now call on the representative from the Youth Council to come forward and deliver the presentation, please, whoever's here. Hang on, just wait. All right, your mic's on now. Go for it.
Hello, everyone. I know this is a bit different to what you've been talking about, but my name's Mia, and I'm here to talk a bit about the Dubbo Youth Council and my journey with the Dubbo Youth Council. I've been a part of the Youth Council for nearly 2 years now, the Dubbo one, and I've enjoyed every moment of it, and it has had a big impact on me and hopefully the others in the community. I chose to get involved because I wanted to be a voice for young people in Dubbo. I saw a chance to speak up for my peers and make sure our perspectives are heard when decisions are being made. One of the best parts is the people I get to work with across the Dubbo community. I also love being involved in youth events and activities, knowing the hard work that happens behind the scenes that makes them successful, especially from the council. They put a lot of effort into the events that run in our town. It is so important for young people to have a voice in their local region. When decision makers hear our views, they gain a genuine understanding of what affects us. It also shows other young people that they can be involved too. When they see us being active and making a difference, it can inspire them to step up and contribute to our community as well. I'm also a part of, well, my terms ended this year, but this year I was a part of the New South Wales Youth Advisory Council, and I'm going to talk a bit about that also. Being a part of the YAC, the Youth Advisory Council, has taught me so much. I've been able to connect with like-minded young people from all over New South Wales. It has been incredible. It has helped me build leadership skills and speak my truth with confidence. I'm not as nervous to do public speaking, although I'm still a bit nervous. Because it's my last term, in my term I did a project about the Dubbo Sports Hub, which is a bit of a, up in the air situation. I did a survey for young people in our region about their views and their understanding of the situation. I got over 100 responses from young people in Dubbo, and I'm still trying to process it all and trying to little step by little step, because it is such a big, what's the word?
Body of work.
Yes, you would know. To finish up, I just would like to say what motivates me. Knowing that young people are the future for Dubbo, for Australia, for our world, basically. I want to help create a path for those coming through, like for me and the other young people. There are so many young people who will be amazing leaders like you guys one day, and I'm happy to be able to advocate for them, especially young people from Dubbo. It makes me really proud. That's it. Thank you. I just wanted to talk about a bit about the Youth Council.
Thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Have a good meeting.
Thank you, Mia. And also noting that Ashton Jones is in the audience as well, another member of our Youth Council, and some of the others include Neil and Brendan, who are also members and did great work last week at the Todd Carney event. The Youth Council there. Mia wasn't there because she was on exchange in the Sister City Exchange in Japan, but Youth Council doing really good things there. Thank you very much for your presentation. Next item is CCC 25/51, report of the Youth Council meeting for September 2025, moved by Councillor Toynton, seconded by Councillor Chowdhury. Councillor Toynton, would you like to speak to that at all?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Thank you. Any further debate, councillors? There being none, I will open the voting on that. Please cast your votes. I'll now close the voting. Carried unanimously. Next item is CCC 25/52, draft public amenity strategy. Do I have someone to move that, please? Councillor Wright, seconded by Councillor Toynton. Councillor Wright, would you like to speak to that?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Right, no, just a great report. It gives us a good snapshot of where we sit with respect to those amenities in the LGA. There's certainly some that are in dire need of some TLC, but I guess that at least sets out a bit of a roadmap for council to focus on improvement of some of those facilities.
Thank you. Further debate, councillors. Councillor Butler.
I'd just like to appreciate, or how do you call it? Say thanks for the modification of the Cameron Park amenity block. It's certainly been a little while since coming, and I just wanted to say that we're grateful, and I'm sure Wellington's grateful. So appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Cowley online.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and Chair. I was just a terrific report. I was very happy to see the bins for blokes coming up as part of the strategy, having raised that on behalf of the Dubbo Prostate Cancer Support Group back in August with the council. and to see that the bins for blokes are going to be trialled in some high traffic areas. I just wondered if somebody could just enunciate which those high traffic areas might be. And also to just clarify, can we accompany this trial with a campaign of awareness, not only about the location of the various bins for blokes, but the reasons and awareness for the need for those, perhaps enlisting the help and assistance of the Dubbo Prostate Cancer Support Group, please.
To the CEO.
Mr. Arms.
Thank you, Councillor. And through the CEO, yes, we're certainly making some progress in terms of the bins for blokes. We've got a general plan in place, and we've identified key locations in the report you have in front of you that will be able to accommodate that. We're identified as priorities to accommodate the bins for blokes. They're primarily the high use areas like Church Street and the high use parks like Warunga Park and Elston Park and the Botanic Gardens and the Adventure Playground and Victoria Park indeed, and the new one we're building across the road here. Like, they are all heavily used amenities and good locations for bins for blokes locations. We would certainly be open and enthusiastic about working with the providers of bins for blokes, and certainly integrate that with the work that we're doing with Share the Dignity, which is a similar program for women. And so I think there's a great opportunity there for us to bring those two together and have a vibrant education campaign, awareness campaign, which promotes their presence as well as the presence as we introduce them into those high-profile amenities.
Thank you. Just a
Thank you.
supplementary question.
Yes.
So, if I may,
Go on.
you mentioned the dignity, Share the Dignity, and I note that there was some discussion about Arana Support Services looking to put a vending machine in one of their facilities. Can you also explain where we're up to with that, and also with the mobile Share the Dignity machine that we have acquired? We being Dubbo Regional Council.
The collective we, the CEO.
Thank you, Councillor, through the CEO. Yes, so working with Share the Dignity, we've purchased a portable dispensing device, which will allow us to locate that at whatever location we like, but primarily the library, but also at events that we organise, so that we can spread that word and give people in need access to essential sanitary products like that. And we're also supporting OSS with their application to install a larger, more permanent vending machine. So they've got to go through a process with the provider for that, but we certainly support their success in doing that with the facility that they're building there, which is a great contribution to what they're doing up there in White Street. But need not in there as well. We've always got our eyes open and minds open to opportunities that we can contribute to in this space.
Thank you. And just a further question with regard to amenity blocks. On page 38, just dealing with Sandy Beach, which is in an appalling condition, it's listed as a long-term priority for delivery within 4 to 10 years, even though the facilities score A1 because of the poor rating in all but one of those assessment categories. Could you just explain the timing there and the priority, please?
The CEO.
Mr. Arms.
It's primarily around budget processes. We have our 4-year budget in place now, but it does mean we can't make amendments to that. Also, the Sandy Beach amenities is under a lot of pressure and is showing it, as you've said, Councillor. It's one of about 3 amenities, I believe, in that report that have the combination of being high use but poor quality, and so they're our 3 priorities to address. The other one that springs to mind is the amenities at Geary, there at Wise Park. So, yeah, we can certainly look at bringing that up the priority list. We would just need to cost that up and run it through the budget processes as well.
The CEO.
And it is also used by a cohort in our community, particularly people who don't have access to shower facilities and what have you. So it is getting highly used by people who are suffering from homelessness as well. So it has a few challenges, but it does provide a necessary service as well.
Thank you.
Councillor Cowley, further? No, thank you. Further comments, councillors? I'll just very quickly say it's good to see on point 2, which reads that it be noted that council investigates strategies to reduce antisocial behaviour and vandalism at the Church Street amenity block. When I was down the street yesterday, I was talking to a prominent Dubbo person by the name of Frank Doolan, and he was making comment about the sort of people who are using the Church Street toilet block for nefarious activities, and most of that emanating out of the Church Street flats, which we get back to a meeting we had a couple of months ago with police, housing and everyone else to do with trying to clean that up. But that is a problem due to a lot of the sort of people that are in Church Street flats and frequent that area to buy drugs. Back to the mover of the original motion for a right of reply, Councillor Wright.
No, thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Councillors, I've opened the voting. Please cast your votes. I'll now close the voting. Carried unanimously. Triple C 25/53. Outcome of the public exhibition for Riverside Reserve's Plan of Management. Do I have someone to move that, please? Councillor Chowdhury, seconded by Councillor Wright. Thank you. Councillor Chowdhury, would you like to speak to that at all?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Anything further, councillors? Councillor Butler.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Black. Yeah, so I thought it was a really good report. I think that it covered a lot of bases and was quite detailed and seemed to be quite far-reaching. I was just one little point of interest on under natural areas. It was trying to restrict certain activities like motorcycle riding and other, how would you call it, shooting, fossicking, etc. I just noticed that one of the activities that was being, how would you call it, restricted was hang gliding. Do we really have a lot of hang gliding occurring in our natural parks? I'm just curious.
CEO?
Windy enough for a turbine.
Get the turbine to blow it.
Certainly not in our Riverside Reserves. I think the logic about trying to include so much in a plan of management, it's a very formal process, and if you want to change it, you've got to go back out to community. So I think it's trying to put restrictions. So in terms of hang gliding, no, you're not jumping off a cliff and getting a wind, but you might have some of those more powered ones that give you that acceleration that way. So the logic there is, I guess, trying to have some exclusions there proactively. Is it a real risk to us in terms of being swamped by that type of activity? No, to your point.
All right. Just a clarity, yeah.
Further, councillors? I'll just note that the report covers the erosion of the riverbanks along the Macquarie River, and it basically gets down to money. Where do we get the money from to undertake erosion control works? And there's not much state government grant money out there at the moment. And also the possibility of replacing the very popular Sir Rodent Cutler viewing platform at some stage in the future, should we find a decent site for that. Councillors, Councillor Chowdhury, right of reply.
No, all good.
Councillors, I've opened the voting. Please cast your votes. I'll now close the voting. Carried unanimously. The next item is Triple C 25/54, Plan of Management, Western Plains Cultural Centre. Do I have someone to move that, please? Councillor Toynton, and seconded by Councillor Wright. Councillor Toynton, would you like to speak to that at all?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any further debate, councillors? There being none, I will open the voting. Please cast your votes. I'll now close the voting. Carried unanimously. Next item is CCC 25/55, Management Policy, Homeless People in Public Places. Do I have someone to move that, please? Councillor Wright, and seconded by Councillor Chowdhury. Councillor Wright, would you like to speak to that at all?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Yeah, look, this is a this is a really good policy. Actually, it's certainly good to be able to get it in writing and help even the community understand where our responsibilities lie here as a council. There's obviously a number of moving parts here with government agencies, including police and community groups. But I've had a lot of people sort of suggest to me, there's people homeless living down the river. Why don't we just move them on? Well, it's not really illegal to be homeless. People have a right to try and reside somewhere safely. But certainly this document helps spell, like I said, our responsibility out. I know we had issues in the past in some of those river camps that have caused some angst and grief and amongst members of the community. So hopefully this helps just sort of spell out what council's role is in these particular challenges that we face. And Dubbo Regional Council is not the only council in the state or the region that has similar issues. So I understand this is off the back of a state government policy, and we're very heavily guided by that. But certainly well done for staff to put this one together and get it in amongst the suite of policies that we have in place.
Thank you. Councillor Cowley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Just following on from Councillor Wright's comments, I too am very pleased to see this policy in front of us today, and also that it sets out the strategy with a great focus on the humanity and dignity of the people that we are talking about. I just wanted to ask, is this something that other councils have also developed, or are we unusual in that respect? And if it is something that other councils have in place, have we been able to, what are some of the learnings from some of those other councils? And also supplementary to that, in putting in place a strategy such as this, are we still ensuring or leaving room for that human person-centred approach to individual cases within the homeless cohort?
The CEO.
Mr. Arms.
Thank you, Councillor. Through Mr. CEO. As to that last part first, if I may, yes, the protocol, the management policy before you is very human-centred. It really does seek to standardise our approach to ensure that, as a matter of fact, it comes out of the state government responding to homelessness in public places protocol, and also the release of their recent homeless strategy, both of which are very prominently focused on identifying this as a human condition, and response agencies like us, land managers like us, need to take that very seriously and take that into account whenever we're responding. So yes, it is fundamental to what we're trying to do here. Yes, in developing protocols like this, management policies like this, we always look at what other councils are doing. Councils are doing great work across the nation and across the state, and we always look to gain their knowledge and not reinvent the wheel, but we always seek to adjust that to suit our current environment, and we always give acknowledgement as well to our local government colleagues as well for the work they do. So yes, we have looked at other councils in this space, and various councils have inspired the work that we've done, but we've certainly tailored this to suit our situation as well. And so the evaluation approach is something that we picked up from another council, and we've tweaked that to suit us. So that's one example of that.
Thank you very much.
CEO.
And worth calling out that this is but one element of our overall strategy in sort of managing the issues presented by homeless. This is about managing in public places. We're still focused on the youth foyer, that you may recall a council resolution that realising that will need federal funding, but that is a real stop-go to stop people ending up in a homeless cycle. So we're still working in parallel. Another body of work that we're just undertaking is through it's a mapping exercise, and we're hoping to get planning to get agencies, not-for-profits, NGOs in the room with us, so we can map out the homeless problem in our circumstance, and then we can have an agreed priority for where we put our efforts together. often at the moment it's people wanting to do good things, but we're sort of addressing the edges. How do we agree where we focus our investment on? So I just want to call that out, that this is but one element of the overall problem we have, and this is managing it in public places, but we've got a whole bunch of other stuff happening in parallel through Craig and his team, or Mr. Arms and his team.
Thank you. Councillor Chowdhury.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question would be there's a fair few concern for the main street, and how we are managing those in the main street, because I got a small businesses always pretty concerned, and we have a lot of tourists coming through. They're having seen that homelessness in our city, so how we can tackle that on in main street. And other thing is there any development or for the Arundel or somewhere to get extra accommodation space? Thank you.
The CEO.
So I guess, well, there's a couple of elements there. People may appear homeless in the main street, but often some of those people actually have accommodation, and they're getting assisted by NDO. So if people have concerns, they should be calling the police or calling Community and Justice. The department looks after, because sometimes it's actually a misconception. Yes, they may look rough, they may look down at heel, but they've actually got a mental illness, and so they're functioning that way in the main street, but they've got a bed to lie down in. So I think it's important for people to understand there's a bit of difference here between homelessness and some of the behaviour we see. Certainly we are focused, a bit like the Youth Foyer for youth homelessness and how to break that cycle. We're actively exploring opportunities, and I think it called out in the Merrill Minute on the 47 Church Street, where we need solutions for people with high dependency, different to just having a walk-up unit in a CBD, which means unfortunately, that's where a lot of the antisocial behaviour comes from. So meeting actively with Homes New South Wales, I've drafted up an MOU so we can actually have agreed ways of working together. So it's not been ignored. We're working on it, but it's a difficult challenge. People have a right to walk in public places, irrespective of their circumstances, as long as they don't break the law. It's not a law to be homeless. So we are actively working on it. We acknowledge people's challenges, but I would encourage, if people think there is a level of breaking the rules, that they contact the police and we build up data. I was talking to the superintendent of the Irana Midwestern Command, and they were running a CBD operation as well. So there is, our relationships are important in this, so we are actively working with them.
Councillor Ryan.
I was just going to chime in and say, yeah, there was a misconception I seen on social media the other night. There was a guy sprawled out in the main street, and people who were commenting and saying, why is this happening? Why is council and Dubbo letting homeless people be like this in the main street? But it was actually a person that had severe mental health issues. They weren't homeless at all. It was just, yeah. So, I think that's the point that people need to understand, that, yeah, like you said, they do have a home, they do have a bed, but they've just got severe conditions that they live with, and that's just the way it is.
Further councillors? I'll just quickly say, where the CEO just mentioned about the extra policing down the main street, in our last meeting, the superintendent did say that there was some overtime available to have extra foot patrols along Macquarie Street and in that area, Talbragar Street. So that's good, but there's a massive shortage of police, as we know, about 5,000 short every day across the state. It was good to see the opening of the Medicare mental health clinic with the Assistant Minister from, mental health, suicide prevention and mental health, officially opening that in the last week or so. So that's good. That's a drop-in service that anyone can just drop in there. So hopefully people use that. And it's interesting talking to people from Vinnie's that Dubbo's really a destination for people with homeless people, but also various other problems, that they're coming from all different points of the compass into Dubbo. And a lot of people from Sydney coming out here and then interact with Vinnie's, and Vinnie's say, why'd you come to Dubbo from Sydney? And it's like, oh, we heard that it's good here. And so it's just a growing problem that's really underfunded by both state and federal governments. Council, we don't have the resources to do it. It really has to come from the state and federal government. So it's good to see this good body of work from the staff, that we could work towards doing what we can as a council, knowing that we don't really have the resources or the capability to do that because it's not our job. Further? Back to the mover for a right of reply, Councillor Wright.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. No, some really good conversation and comments around that. So thank you.
I will now open the voting. Please cast your votes. I'll now close the voting. Carried unanimously. Next item is CCC 25/56, Submissions Public Exhibition Dubbo Region Events Strategy. Do I have someone to move that, please? Councillor Wright, seconded by Councillor Toynton. Councillor Wright, would you like to speak to that at all?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. A great document and some good feedback from community, which I can see council staff have addressed. And I think the document itself, look, it certainly recognises how important events are to the community, both socially and economically. But it also really clearly spells out where this council's focus is when it comes to events and how council can help facilitate and maybe promote, but not necessarily actively be involved in the running of those events. So look, I think it gives a really clear guidance. There's certainly a lot of assistance through council staff who can help facilitate or at least help event organisers. So a great document for the community to refer back to if they are thinking of hosting an event. It'll be available in the library after this, I suppose. Thank you.
Thank you. Further debate, councillors? Councillor Cowley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I was delighted to see how many submissions and the passion and dedication that it indicates exists within our artistic and cultural community, that people put so much time into their submissions. One of the things that seems to come up, and it does come up quite a bit, not just through this strategy, but other strategies, is the communication, the direct communication with stakeholders of the various interest groups. And I wonder if somebody could just enunciate exactly what the mechanisms are for direct communication with those stakeholders, people that have engaged with council in terms of those areas of interest. And a supplementary question, if I may. One of the submissions suggests a no smoking policy for events offering food, but the response was that this is outside of the scope of the strategy. Could that not be considered a safety issue? So yes, those are a couple of questions, please.
The CEO.
I'll pass that one to Ms. Willits.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. CEO. So yeah, in terms of the way that we communicate the exhibition period, it's a two-pronged communication. So number one, it's very broad. So we do our broad communications through advertising, through radio. So we try to capture the entire community. But we're really fortunate in that we've got a database of local event organisers, and we reach them through email. So we almost hound them by saying, this is open, take the opportunity to provide the feedback. We've also got a community Facebook page where we've got local event organisers who are members of that Facebook page, and we post, have your say now, don't miss the opportunity. And we try and hit them, we do hit them as soon as submissions are open, midway and just before they close. So to make sure those targeted groups have that opportunity, it's really important that they have their say.
Thank you.
Councillor Cowley, further?
Just on the smoking issue.
CEO.
That was raised in one of the submissions.
Yeah, so a little bit of outside the scope of the event strategy in terms of a safety issue, or it could be something that maybe sits in this sort of community safety area, perhaps in terms of, stagger times in the CBD where they're standing around and having a cigarette. It's really beyond, I guess, my area of expertise. So I apologise, I can't answer that question.
We'll just go back to the CEO.
Yeah, we'll take that on notice and look for a bit more detail for the councillors.
Thank you. Great strategy overall. Thank you.
Further debate, councillors? There being none, Councillor Wright, right of replies to mover?
No, thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Councillors, I have opened the voting. Please cast your votes. I'll now close the voting. Carried unanimously. Next item is Triple C 25/57 Water Safety Report. Councillor Richardson has moved that and seconded by Councillor Chowdhury. Councillor Richardson, would you like to speak to that at all?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would actually. It's a very good report, exactly pointing out the 17 places, access points. It's just very sad that a young person had to actually pass away before we could look at doing something like this. And once again, all our thoughts and prayers go out to his family.
Thank you. Further debate, councillors? I'll just quickly say that good report by the staff. Thank you very much, and good to see that the site assessments was funded via a successful application for risk enhanced funding through council's insurer. So hopefully we can, especially with summer coming up, make things a bit safer around the LGA for people who swim in the river. Further debate? There being none, I will open the voting. Please cast your votes. I'll now close the voting. Carried unanimously. There are no further items, and I declare the Culture and Community Committee closed, the time being 6:36 p.m.
I now open the October 2025 Corporate Services Committee meeting, the time being 6:37 p.m. Item CSC 25/63, I have a request for leave of absence from Councillors M. Dickerson, R. Ivy and P. Wells. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Ryan, seconded by Councillor Chowdhury. I'll now put the motion to the vote. Yep. I'll now close the voting. The motion's passed unanimously. Oh, and Councillor J. Cowley will be attending the meeting via audio-visual link. Item CSC 25/54, conflicts of interest. Does anyone have any conflicts of interest to declare? Councillor Chowdhury? Yes?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a conflict of interest, non-pecuniary less than significant. Item number CSC 25/69, the community funding program. I was part of the ORISCON, but no longer. So I'm staying in the room. Thank you.
Thank you. Item CSC 25/65, the monthly reporting snapshot for councillors, September 2025. Do I have a motion? Councillor Chowdhury. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Toynton. Councillor Chowdhury, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Any further debate? Councillor Wright.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Just a question regarding that graph on page 7, and it just was regarding the abandon rate. We're logging hit a target of about 6% for our abandon rates of phone calls. Do we know why that people abandon those calls? Like, do we have an ability to understand when they drop out? Is it because they realise they can do it online? Is it they're sick of waiting? Or like, I don't know. Is there any way we track why we have that level of abandoned calls?
Through the CEO.
I'll pass that to Mr. Cusack.
Thank you for the question, Councillor, and through you, Madam Chair. We do have mechanisms of tracking our call centre volume, so we can identify on an hourly rate where those calls are dropping off. Excuse me. What we saw for the month of September, very much they aligned with periods of staff absence for a number of reasons, but also in line with staff lunch breaks and other operational requirements. So would I say that there was one thing in particular that contributed to that high number? No. It was certainly a challenging month, though, to meet those incoming calls.
Any further debate? Councillor Chowdhury, would you like a right of reply?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. I'll now put the motion to the voting. If you'd please cast your vote. I'll now stop the voting. And the motion's passed unanimously. Item CSC 25/66, Christmas Activities 2025. Do I have a motion? Councillor Chowdhury, seconded Councillor Black. Councillor Chowdhury, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm always look forward to get a good Christmas activities in our region, and that's what I'm pushing for. So through you, Madam Chair, to the relevant director, is it because I remember like we're trying to get some private partnership with this Christmas activation. Is there any private like a parties been came to with us, and also like what other major activities we are looking forward to this coming few months? Thank you.
Through the CEO.
Ms. Brown.
Thank you, Councillor. Through you, Madam Chair. With our Christmas campaign and our economic development activity that the Council undertakes, we've got 3 primary focus areas over in the lead up and over Christmas. The first is obviously for our local businesses to increase local spending with retailers here, and also to attract regional shopping trips from our surrounding areas who use this as a key shopping point. Over the last 2 years, we've been tracking spending on sort of discretionary retail, which we can attribute over and above to just Christmas shopping. To 2023 November 38 million to 24 November 40 million, and in December that's 43 million to 46 million. So we are seeing increase in local spend as a result of our focus area on that. However, we've got some more work to do. We know that inflation's been high, so that could be just increased prices. And we've also got a 10% leak to online that we can see over the last 2 years. So we really do want to continue that as a very high focus for our Christmas areas around economic development and stimulus to support local retailers, and there'll be a range of social media campaigns, not just for Dubbo residents, but also the surrounding areas where people may need to pop into Dubbo to support their full Christmas shopping, although we'd like them also to support those local retailers in their small communities as well. The second is obviously to promote the great events that community groups are doing, and there's a range of activities through our Christmas calendars that we will be promoting, and we want to increase social media around that to really give a boost to our target audiences of families around some of those great Christmas events. And then thirdly, but not least, is our Christmas decoration of our main streets in both Dubbo and Wellington. And we've increased our budget and had done some great January bargain shopping shopping ourselves to refresh our Christmas decorations, and we'll also be pushing that out through social media to guide people about where they can take their fantastic social snaps of the most heavily decorated areas in Dubbo. To the point about whether we've sought sponsorship, we haven't at this point for two reasons. Firstly, because sponsorship is really hard in the current environment, and second of all, we potentially could see a sponsor in a short-term deal that might give us a spike in our Christmassiness for a 1 or 2 year period and not be able to sustain that. So that's the reason we're doing that. But given the online leakage, heavy focus on that, we could spend more on decorations, but that would potentially come at a cost of some of our wonderful other economic development and new residents' nights and things like that. So we feel like there are some great things going on. There are some great decorations and great events. Pushing that through social media and see how the community responds. Continue to focus on our local retail campaigns, and then have another look at it in the future years.
Any further debate? Councillor Chowdhury, would you like? No?
No,
Anything?
all good, thank you.
I'll now put the motion to the electronic vote. You can start voting. I'll now close the voting. And the motion's passed unanimously. Item CSC 25/67, Draft Council Policy, Communications, Media and Brand, Results of the Public Exhibition. Do I have a mover? Councillor Toynton, seconded by Councillor Wright. Councillor Toynton, would you like to speak to your motion?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Any further debate? There being none, I'll put the motion to the voting. I'll now close the voting. And the motion's passed unanimously. Item CSC 25/68, Results of Public Exhibition 2021 to 2027, Customer Experience Strategy Action Plan Review. Do I have a mover, please? Councillor Chowdhury, seconded Councillor Black. Councillor Chowdhury, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, all good, Madam Chair.
Any further debate? I'll now put the motion to the vote. I'll now close the voting. And the motion's passed unanimously. Okay. Item CSC 25/69, Community Funding Program 2025-2026, Round 1, Recommended Applicants. Do I have a motion? Sorry, just a reminder. So you actually have options. You have to pick an option, either option 1 or option A or option B. Councillor Wright.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Look, I'm happy to move that. I'll read out the first one, that Council make a determination to endorse option B, as outlined in the report, with a total recommended funding amount of $117,219.47, and just items 2, 3, and 4 to remain as they are.
Okay. Do I put him as the mover of that motion?
Yeah, that's the motion. That's cool. So
Yep.
Councillor Wright. Yep.
Could I have a seconder for that motion? Thank you. Any further debate on this?
Councillor's got to speak to it.
Oh, sorry. Councillor Wright, would you like to speak to that motion? Sorry.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yes, please.
I have a non-pecuniary less than significant conflict of interest on this matter because I was in part of the previously, but not any longer. So I'm staying in the room. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Wright, sorry.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Yeah, look, that particular motion obviously slightly different to the other option there by around $30,000. It does include 4 other applicants for grant funds who are captured in that particular option. I do note that that 4 of those 4 do have some outstanding acquittals. So I've just got a couple of questions as to how that process of acquittals is managed by staff, obviously prior to those funds being distributed. But maybe you can also explain a couple of things. What funds are available in this program of funding once those funds have been distributed, and if groups are successful in obtaining those funds, and we haven't provided all of the funds for them, so potentially their project may be at risk of not being able to proceed, can they withdraw their application and maybe resubmit at a later date through the hope of being able to secure better funding or more funding for their event?
Through the CEO.
Sorry, a few questions there. Sorry.
We'll pass to Ms. John.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Chair. I'll try to get all 3 questions. First one, with the acquittal processes, the former funds were actually handled through the Community Culture and Places team, so they'll be able to speak more to that. But on these particular ones, I believe we're just waiting for 3 of them, some verified information in regards to the funds that were expended there. In regards to if you were to go ahead with the recommended funding amount of 117 odd thousand, that would leave a remaining $122,780.53 of the $240,000 that's available as part of that 25-26 funding budget. And the third question in relation to whether or not somebody could withdraw their application, absolutely, that was part and parcel of the education program that we want to do with this new funding program that's been developed. We will be giving feedback to all of the applicants as to how their application was evaluated at that time and give them that opportunity to be able to reapply.
Councillor Wright?
Thanks, Madam Chair. It was just one more question with respect to those organisations who do have acquittals. Do they have a certain deadline they need to hit to provide that acquittal before the funds are then released, or before the funds, are rolled back into the program for the next round?
Through the CEO.
Ms. John.
All 4 are currently quite overdue in terms of the date to which their original applications were granted and the application and the acquittal was due. So the intent is to work more closely, as we have been throughout this time anyway, within the next 2 weeks to really round those up.
Any further debate?
Just a question, Madam Chair.
Councillor Butler?
Just a quick question. In one of those 4 acquittals that we've just been referring to, one of them talks about Arana Arts, and it says Kumi Taiko. What is Kumi Taiko, if I could ask?
Through the CEO.
It's taiko drumming. It's a Japanese cultural experience that way. So it's very successful engaging young people to participate in that.
Any further debate? Councillor Ryan?
Just a question. Just if the guys that have put in these funding applications and they don't quit what they had before, does that automatically cross them out?
Through the CEO.
Ms. John?
Technically speaking, yes. Having an outstanding acquittal with council for any funds was one of the baseline eligibility criteria questions. And, yeah.
Any further debate? Would you like a right of reply, Councillor Wright?
No, thanks, Madam Chair. Thank you.
I'll now put the motion to the electronic vote. I'll now stop the voting. And the motion's passed unanimously. Item CSC 25/70, rescission of council policies. I'm actually just going to throw to the CEO before we start debate on that one. Okay, all right. I'll get someone to move it for me and second it. Thanks. Josh.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to explain, it is unusual to see the word rescission of policies coming from a staff report. The logic there is if a policy is resolved by council, it overrides the previous policy that had the formal setting of the elected body. And indeed, in this agenda, there is a number of policies we're asking you to renew. Why we have rescinding policies is because they are surplus to how we operate at this point in time. So there isn't a proposal to have these as superseded by new policies. So that's that distinction. Normally you might see a rescission motion from a council or what have you. That is why we're seeking you to rescind these policies, because they're not relevant or they're covered by other ways of operating at this point in time.
Councillor Black, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, it's fine, thanks.
Okay. Any further debate? I'll now put the motion to the electronic vote. Can I just? Yep. I'll now close the voting. And the voting was, the motion was passed unanimously. Okay. Item CSC 25/71, the 2025 Victor Chang School Science Awards Program. I'm going to go with that one. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Wright?
Thanks, Madam Chair. Actually, with that particular one, I would suggest that Council determine to endorse option 2. The Dobbo Regional Council supports the Victor Chang School Science Awards in 2026, expanding to invite schools in neighbouring local government areas of Narromine and Gilgandra to participate.
Thank you. Could I have a seconder for that? Councillor Chowdhury? Councillor Wright, did you want to speak to that motion?
Thanks, Madam Chair. I did attend the particular event in 2026 along with a couple of other fellow councillors. 2025, and not long ago, a couple of months ago actually, and it was a fantastic event. And I know Councillor Ivy spoke previously about the speaker on that day. He was unbelievable and rather inspiring for a lot of the students that were there. So I think maybe moving to option 3 in that report, spreading it to the members of the Western Alliance of Councils is probably taking a pretty big bite to expand the program. So I think maybe just opening up to Narromine and Gilgandra just gives us an opportunity to slightly expand it to some nearby LGAs, and maybe the opportunity in 2027 and beyond might be to push it out a bit further. But I think a small expansion of it is warranted, and I think council staff can handle that without too many issues.
Any further debate? I'll now put the motion to the electronic vote. I'll now close the voting. And the motion was passed unanimously. Item CSC 72, Draft Councillor and Staff Interaction Policy. Could I have a mover, please? And a seconder, Councillor Black and Councillor Chowdhury. Councillor Black, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, it's fine, thanks.
Any further debate? I'll now put the motion to the vote. I'll now close the voting. And the motion's passed unanimously. Item CSC 25/73, Draft Code of Conduct Policy and Procedures for the Administration of the Code of Conduct. Do I have a mover, please? Councillor Wright, seconded by Councillor Toynton. Councillor Wright, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thanks, Madam Chair.
Any further debate? I'll now put the motion to the electronic vote. I'll now close the voting, and the motion's passed unanimously. Item CSC 25/74, Annual Report on Complaint Statistics under Council's Code of Conduct 2024-2025 reporting period. Do I have a mover? Thank you. Councillor Chowdhury. Councillor Black. Councillor Chowdhury, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Any further debate? Councillor Toynton?
Yes, Madam Chair. As I was previously the subject of a code of conduct complaint, do I have a conflict in this matter or no?
To the CEO?
It's actually asking, the report is actually providing the facts. So there's no real decision making to do. You're effectively noting it. So whilst I can't tell you how to declare a conflict of interest, if I was in that circumstance, I would be comfortable that it's not affecting your decision making. It's just reporting on the facts as provided by staff.
No, thanks for that clarity.
Councillor Chowdhury, did you want to write a reply? I'll now put the motion to electronic voting. I'll now close the voting, and the motion is passed unanimously. Item CSC 25/75, Draft Policies for Council Review. Do I have a mover, please? Councillor Toynton, seconded by Councillor Wright. Councillor Toynton, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Any further debate? I'll now start the electronic voting. I'll now close the voting, and the motion's passed unanimously. Item CSC 25/76, Flag Protocols. Do I have a mover, please? Councillor Chowdhury, seconded by Councillor Ryan. Councillor Chowdhury, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's good to see Councillor Cowley has brought this motion previously and Council done this policy. If Council, if someone can kindly give a little bit update about this policy, then the people are watching from home, they can have understand. Thank you.
To the CEO?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll throw to Ms. Rouse on the flags policy. Just before, it came about when we had a funeral of a very well-respected First Nations leader, widely respected, and there wasn't a policy because it wasn't a state funeral or declared in that way, but to our local significance, the community and indeed the councils wanted to recognise the loss of a very significant man in Australia's history. Actually, if you look through it, it was amazing. So this policy goes that way, where we can have that local solution for lowering the flags at half-mast. Now we've got that policy setting. I think I will have covered what Ms. Rouse was going to say, so I'll leave it there.
Any further debate? Councillor Cowley?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Only to just say I'm delighted with the speed at which this policy was prepared, and long may that speed continue.
Thank you. Any further debate? Councillor Ryan?
Just a comment more than anything. Look, this is it's good to see this is a policy now, but it is a common practice actually in different areas. I know if in Wellington, if we have a prominent Aboriginal person pass away, you'll drive past the health service, and you'll see that the flags are half-mast. So yeah, it's good to see.
Any further debate? I'll now put the motion. I open the electronic voting. I'll close the voting, and the motion's passed unanimously. Item CSC 25/77, Draft Council Policy Code of Meeting Practice. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Black, and seconded Councillor Chowdhury. Councillor Black, would you like to speak to the motion?
Just very quickly to say that, look, this has been long awaited by everyone with bated breath for the last couple of years, and that there may still be some more changes as interpretations come out from the Office of Local Government. Thank you.
I'd just like to break away for a moment and just invite our CEO to speak on the item following an online forum today.
Yeah, a very pointed segue from Councillor Black's comment. So there are releasing information slowly to councils. We've got the draft code, which becomes the mandatory revisions, become live after the 31st of December. But some of the black and white in the rules is open to interpretation. And so the Office of Local Government held a webinar today for staff involved in delivering codes of meeting practice. And then there's another one on Thursday for elected members, should they so choose. A couple of key points that we'll have to change that are from the draft that are in the business paper based on this feedback, as Madam Chair says, that we just received today. So that the banning on prohibition of briefing sessions for any matter on the agenda, what the intent and OLG says this is how it should be interpreted, is for anything that will be on an agenda in the future. So there may have been an opportunity for councils to hold a briefing or a workshop, a deep dive into a subject that we're planning to put up to council in around 3 months' time. Well, the advice from Office of Local Government, no, any information that we provide to councils for their decision making needs to be public. Now, whether that means we capture the essence of the workshop and put that in the report, or whether we have in effect a public workshop in a council or a committee meeting, still to be determined. So it'll be we'll need to adjust the Code of Meeting Practice draft to reflect that hard ban on anything remotely considered as providing councils information. It even drops down to, should a councillor ask a question of council staff after the business papers are published on that matter, and we would share that as we have to under our councillor staff interaction policy equally, we have to then make that public as well as part of the decision making. So it's quite, onerous is the wrong word, but quite robust in its requirements expected of us in how we make the information we give councillors and what they consider available to the public. The other one is public forum. They were very strong that we cannot hold it in as part of the council meeting as we do now. You have to have a public forum separate. Then we open up, and that will be chaired by the mayor. Then we open up the council meeting or the committees separately to that. not quite as clear in the black and white rules, but that is their interpretation that way. So we'll have to make some adjustments. It is also worth pointing out, even though we have to have this adopted by the 31st of December and we have to have public exhibition periods to seek public comment, we're still awaiting from the Office of Local Government the best practice guide on public forums, which will be further interpretation of how we run public forums. So this will keep evolving. So we'll make changes where we can for the public consultation. If something happens while we're out on public exhibition, we'll make that known as part of our public exhibition as well, because information is, I won't say drip feeding, but it's coming out in dribs and drabs at the moment as well. And there, the main issues there, there's also, there's one more. We will make a change. We had using some of the arguably grey in the mandatory provisions about audio-visual link. Office of Local Government was quite clear, and certainly from the Minister's perspective, this is how it must be. You can only attend and seek permission from your elected body colleagues to attend a meeting in audio-visual through either ill health, other medical reasons, caring responsibilities, or a natural disaster. Now, how you define that will be up to the elected body. As came up in the webinar today, in rural settings, there may be, it's not a natural disaster, but some roads get too wet to drive on if you're on gravel and what have you. So that's not a natural disaster, but I would have thought as a cohort we would consider that given our circumstances. So we'll have to adjust the draft that's in the business papers to reflect this hard and fast advice from the Office of Local Government. And I guess it's worth calling out and noting there will be further changes, it would seem, being issued to us by the Office of Local Government. So stay tuned is the short way of saying that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any further debate regarding that? Councillor Wright?
Thanks, Madam Chair. It's just a comment, and look, this has obviously been forced upon councils across the state, and there's certainly some elements of this that make some sense, and there's elements of it that make no sense, especially with regards to councils in regional locations and attending via audio-visual link. But as a relatively new councillor, I suppose a brand new councillor in the last term, attending workshops and briefings, especially workshops on highly complex topics and things we had to make some pretty serious decisions on over the term of council. There's no way I could have got my head around it just to read a business paper and turn up at a council meeting and make a decision on something that had layer upon layer of complexity. So look, whether that gets brought into a council meeting and the public can sit here and listen to a 2-hour workshop on an item that is incredibly complex to enable councillors to make a decision on it doesn't make a lot of sense. The way this council does it with good governance makes a lot of sense to me. But anyway, like I say, it's been forced upon councils, and unfortunately this council will adopt it as well. So,
just to the CEO again.
Their staff are very conscious of that need for councils to actually understand complex matters that's not their specialist skill. We've got lots of specialists behind the scenes providing information. I think by having committees, that will be a tool where I'm asking staff to be more considerate of, get information and into committees where there's less formal rules of debate so we can have a greater interaction. So I think we've got some tools. Do I agree with those restrictions on us? I think no council did in terms of good use of ethical briefings. We are paying for the sins of those that went before us in ICAC and what have you. But we're conscious we'll have to use things like those committee meetings as other ways to get information at depth in front of councils before they make a decision at a council meeting.
I'd just like to ask the CEO a question regarding that. So how much consultation with the general managers of other councils was involved?
And speaking, the mayor could speak about the mayors as well. There was really robust feedback, and the fact that it takes hour and a half, possibly longer, to go across our LGA, and people are very different to I'm driving a couple of suburbs away in my Sydney suburban council. So the really frank and fearless feedback. The minister was very strong on things should happen in the council chamber. We are paying for the sins of some corruption, some pretty serious corruption, but I would argue that was a misuse of briefings. Like, as you know, councils, I say, you're not allowed to debate. And workshops aren't decisions. So we are paying for some of the sins of those before us. Directly to your question, lots of consultation, lots of feedback in general manager circles as well to, I guess, push the argument. We've now been given the decision.
Thank you. Any further debate? Councillor Right.
Madam Chair, I just one quick question. Is there any avenues of appeal for that or expansion for that ruling on the audiovisual?
To the CEO.
In terms of appealing to the minister's decision, no, they're mandatory provisions and they were really strong again. I guess there's a little bit of flexibility as the general manager who I guess administers the code of meeting practice with staff from the governance team as well, is that we have to respect your privacy. So whether you have caring responsibilities, I'm not after a doctor's certificate about the condition of the person you're caring for or indeed your own health. So we have to be mindful, given we're discussing your application for participating in audio visual is live streamed. So there's a level of interpretation, a level of, appealing to your other councils on their judgment, but certainly not for work, not because you're out of town traveling on a sister city relationship. I had that conversation with councils before. They are still tight, but there is still an element of council or as an elected body making a decision on permitting audio visual under those three criteria of carers, health, we'll call it small n, small d, natural disasters, impacts of natural events that may inhibit us.
Okay.
Councillor Bay?
Thank you. Yes, there was a lot of conversations with the minister at various events, and Country Mayors Association, where I'm on the board of, we put in a submission, got lots of feedback from various councils, and it was all the same stuff, basically, what we've just been talking about, and especially from country councils with audio-visual link being able to join by that, because we know that people go to Sydney, go to Canberra to meet with politicians, and if that happens to be on the day of your council meeting, well, that's going to be a major problem going forward. And especially the workshops, I didn't find anyone really that was in favour of canning the workshops, but that's the way it went, unfortunately. Thanks.
Any further debate? Councillor Black, did you want to write a reply? I'll now put this motion to the vote. Don't have much choice. I'll now close the voting. And the motion has been passed unanimously. Item CSC 25/78, Master Plan for the Civic Administration Building. Do I have a mover, please? Councillor Chowdhury, seconded Councillor Wright. Councillor Chowdhury, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yeah, I'd like to move option 2, creation of master plan.
Through Madam Chair, the recommendation from staff is to allocate the $200,000 to do the master planning for the building. So there is no options there, but just to clear that it's that one there.
Any further debate? Councillor Wright?
Thanks, Madam Chair. Only that, like the $200,000 potentially, if it's all spent, is a fair chunk of money. So I'm just hoping we find some efficiencies across the current asset base that we have to be able to maybe make some of those savings there, and find some efficiencies also in house with the space we've got.
Okay. Any further debate? Councillor Chowdhury, did you want to write a reply?
No, all good. I just agree with the as Councillor Wright said. Thank you.
Okay. I'll just throw to the CEO quickly.
We're very aware of that, and it is to squeeze the efficiency out of our buildings and how we operate as councils. It might not seem it at a surface, but it is about getting better service to the community and saving money at the back of house costs as well. So we're very conscious of that. We take that responsibility very seriously in community money, so it won't be frivolous, but it will allow us to get some efficiencies at the end as well. So just to acknowledge the concerns of councillors and know that that's our concern as well.
Okay. Any further debate? There Being none, I'll start the electronic voting. I'll now close the voting and the motion's been passed unanimously. The next items for consideration are deemed to be confidential. Under Section 10A of the Local Government Act, the next items being item CSC 25/79, CSC 25/80, IPEC 25/73 and IPEC 25/74 have been identified as likely to be discussed in a closed session of Council. Can I now have someone move us into a confidential session to deal with the confidential item? Councillor Wright seconded Councillor Chowdhury. We've had no applications for members of the public to make their representations regarding whether the meeting should be closed to the public. I will now open the electronic voting. I'll now close the voting. I declare the motion carried unanimously and we'll move into closed session, the time being 7:21 p.m. The streaming will now be turned off. Thank you. The committee's returned to open session at 7:40 p.m. Welcome back. I'll now ask our governance officer to read the resolutions from the confidential session.
Item CSC 25/79. 1. That council agree to enter into an option agreement, A, to sell 7.39 hectares of land at Moffat Estate, the location of which is identified within this report. B, on the key terms as specified in this report. 2. Lotus Energy Recycling Proprietary Limited or an associated entity of Lotus Energy Recycling Proprietary Limited. 2. That council delegate to the Chief Executive Officer the power to negotiate an option agreement in accordance with resolution number 1 above. 3. That any documents requiring execution by council relating to this report be executed by the Chief Executive Officer under power of attorney. 4. That all information in relation to this matter remain confidential to council. Item CSC 25/80. 1. That council enters into a licence agreement with the registered owner of lot 116 on DP 1241585A for that part of the road reserve adjoining lot 116 on DP 1241586 and B on the terms outlined in option 1 of this report. 2. That council enters into a licence agreement with the registered owners of lot 21 on DP 1143984A for part of the road reserve adjoining lot 21 DP on 1143984, B on the terms outlined in option 3 of this report. 3. That any necessary documentation in relation to this matter be executed by power of attorney. 4. That the information contained within this report remain confidential to council. Item IPEC 25/73, airlock remediation solution at John Gilbert Water Treatment Plant, variation of contract, CD 22/5066, design and construction of fluoride plant. 1. That the increased scope of works for contract CD 22/5066, Dubbo Water Treatment Plant, design and construction of fluoride plant be noted. 2. That it be noted that the increased scope of works and proposed funding described within this report are essential to operate the John Gilbert Water Treatment Plant at its full capacity of 80 megalitres ml per day. 3. That the necessary funds identified within this report be transferred from the Water Fund restricted asset and allocated to this project. 4. That council delegate the Chief Executive Officer to approve extension options for this contract if required. 5. That council delegate the Chief Executive Officer to approve contract variations for this contract if required and subject to budgetary limitations. 6. That all documentation in relation to this matter remain confidential to council. IPEC 25/74, Essential Energy, easement request for a stay wire over part of lot 1728 DP 1222337 Argyle Avenue, Dubbo. 1. That council approve the grant of an easement for a stay wire with in-ground footing affecting lot 1278 DP 1222337. 2. That council accept the offer of compensation for this easement as detailed in the report. 3. That council delegate to the Chief Executive Officer the power to negotiate, finalise and execute any documents that may be required to facilitate the registration of the plan of easements and to finalise any necessary documents with Essential Energy. 4. That all documentation in relation to this matter be executed under power of attorney. 5. That all documentation in relation to this matter remain confidential to council.
Thank you. There are no further items for consideration of the Corporate Services Committee, and I declare the meeting closed, the time being 7:43 p.m. Web streaming is now being completed. Thank you for your attendance. Please stop the streaming.